So what's up, guys? This is supposed to be my oil filter housing gasket video, my DIY for the N55 engine on the BMW E90 cars, as well as the E92, E93s that use the N55 on this generation BMW 3 Series. Sadly, because of circumstances, I'm not going to be able to do the DIY as of right now. There's a reason for that. I'm going to go into that in the video a little bit more, but I just want to show you guys the tools involved in the work that I got. I bought all the tools for the work, as well as the scope of the work. I'm going to show you guys inside of the hood and what you need to take apart to get to the oil filter housing gasket. Some of the tools I got that you're going to need for your oil filter housing gasket and any engine, any BMW engine, specifically this one. So over here, the first thing you're going to need is an oil cap removal tool. Not because you're going to change your oil. You may want to change your oil after or during, after you're done the work to prevent contamination. But I was intending not to change the oil. I was just going to open up the filter housing cap to release the oil pressure or release the oil from the filter housing. So when I do take the housing apart, there will be minimum oil and coolant in that that housing unit. Oil, it's good to have a couple bottles of these because you will lose about a bit of oil. Not a lot, but a bit of oil. If you're not planning to do an oil change, just keep a bottle of oil handy in case you lose oil. As well as some BMW coolant. Highly recommend using the BMW coolant. Don't use the green stuff. Keep this handy because you probably will lose, depending on where your leak was, you will lose a bit more coolant than oil, from what I understand. It's good to have a rubber mallet handy because this will get stuck in the oil cap, and it's good to bang this off when you're done. Extension. I got a couple of extension. There's a train going by. So I got these things. This extension for the ratchet wrench, and this is just to get in underneath the air intake manifold and get the one of the bolts for the oil filter housing gasket. Now I got a couple of them, different lengths. They sell these on Amazon. I'm gonna put links below where I got everything. Now I highly recommend getting the E10 box wrench, or you could use an 8mm box wrench. I come in a little closer and show you guys what these are. As well as a socket and tool set for removing the various things under the hood on these cars, as well as an adapter set for your ratchet. So that's basically the main stuff that I got. And also went out and bought a magnetic tool. It has about a 2-pound pickup rating, so I could pick something up about 2 pounds of force on this thing, which is kind of cool. You're gonna need this because bolts are known to, when you remove the bolts, they are easy to fall inside under the engine. So you're gonna just come in close and look at what I got there. So the last and most important thing you will need is, I wasn't specific on it, but you will need to get this thing. It's an E10 socket on, I believe it's a 1/4 swivel head there. And this is what you need to get that last bolt that's inside under your intake manifold. You can also use this socket for the other bolts, most likely the top bolts. So Amazon's the only place that sells this. Is an E10, Torx E10 socket. So, and it's on a 1/4 extension. So this is gonna be really easy to get underneath the intake manifold. I got 2 box wrenches here. I got a slightly curved one. They're both 8mm. The 8mm is similar to the E10. And I got a 12 point, it's kind of 12 stars in there, as well as I think a hexagon. So just to grab the bolts that's in front of the oil filter, the front bolts, the front lower bolt, I'm sorry. So we can go look under the hood and see how these are used. So excuse my engine bay, it's very dirty. It's been a long winter with this car. I don't get much time to clean it up. So what I have on here now is the oil cap removal tool. So what I would do to start after everything's removed is just open this cap up. You don't have to pull everything off, and that releases the pressure, and the oil flows down away from the oil filter housing. Because when you open the housing, you want minimal amount of fluid pouring out of there. So put that to the side. That's why you need that oil cap, and I believe it's 86.4 or something point on that cap. Put the links down below where I bought everything. Now the E10 fits right over these bolts. These are all E10 bolts. So that's the first uppermost, the easiest bolt you're gonna get to. I don't know if you guys could see. I'm gonna bring it in a bit closer. So I'm bringing it in a little closer so you guys can see. So it fits right over that bolt, and the way the swivel works, like you can get right underneath the intake manifold. There is a third bolt behind this thing on the intake manifold. So this allows you to get that bolt there. Now these box wrenches are going to be for the bolt that's there. There's a bolt that's right in there, and it's an upside down bolt, so you're going to access it from below there. I didn't even remove anything, but when you do this work, you will have this air baffle there removed. You will remove that air tunnel there, and the swivel head allows you to get that bolt, and actually get it with the air box still attached. So that's on the bolt now, and it's attached to the bolt, and I just turn and loosen it out. Now that will bottom out against this coolant hose. There's a coolant hose there, and you can see I'm almost dropped that. And as well as another nut there, but you will remove these attachments. You don't have to remove this hose, because when that bottoms out, you're gonna push it back up and keep screwing it out. I don't know if it makes sense, but and that's it. And it's pretty straightforward. And then you open up the housing and you replace the gasket. Now the reason I can't do the work, or I'm scared to do the work, I'm gonna put links down below. Actually, it's really cool. I'm gonna go inside the car and finish talking. Okay, guys, the reason I'm not doing an oil filter housing gasket myself is last week I was on the forums, E90 post, and I came across a thread where a guy with a 2000, same car as mine, did the oil filter housing gasket at a shop, I believe, and he left the shop and he got on the highway 5 minutes after the work was completed. His engine seized up. The end product was engine needed to be replaced because of oil starvation to the engine. Lucky for him, the shop is going to replace the engine under warranty or something like that, because basically the engine malfunctioned after work was done to the car. Now this guy posted, it was weird, so he posted in the forums, and a bunch of people replied. Now the replies were very interesting because all the people said it happened to them. Same thing, they did work at the shop, they drove the car like up the road for a few minutes, and the engine basically imploded, basically due to oil starvation. And now another guy came on the forum and mentioned something. He was in the X5 forums and X3 forums, X forums, and he noticed a lot of people with the X5 3.5 engines, which is the N55, same engine in this car, had the same issue where they went in for work for the oil filter housing gasket. Either did an oil change after, some didn't. But the minute they left the shop, the engine seized up due to oil starvation, and basically what that means, oil wasn't flowing through the engine. Whatever work was done, the theories were maybe a piece of the rubber gasket that was being replaced caused a blockage in the oil system, which is kind of far-fetched. Now, BMW apparently is aware of this, and it put a bulletin out, which scared me, because I'm like, if BMW is putting a bulletin out on something, then it must be a truth to whatever's happening. And the bulletin basically went to, I think mechanical shops, where if you're doing the oil filter housing gasket, you have to prime the oil system. So basically, it's just like priming the system again, to get oil flowing once the car is started after the filter, after the gasket is replaced. Basically, it didn't make sense to anyone, because when you do an oil change, you drain all the oil out of the engine anyway, and you don't prime the oil system every time you change your oil. And I've had 3 oil changes in this car already, and I'm not sure if they prime the oil for that. So it does not make sense to anyone, but apparently that's the remedy for the oil filter housing gasket. It does something to the oil system on this car. And it's not every E90 with the N55. It seems to be some people are reporting it, but the way it's being reported, people said, I did work at the shop, and sometimes when you do the oil filter housing gasket, you're doing other things, the valve cover gasket, maybe you're doing your belts and pulleys. So a lot of people mentioned they were doing other work, and they're trying to pinpoint why the engine seized up, and it seems to be the only correlation is oil filter housing gasket was done in a group of work, a group of things that was done to the car whilst it was in the shop. A few people said they did it in the garage at home, and same thing happened to them. Engine seized up, and the car, they totaled the car, or people spend money replacing the engine. Basically, what that means, you have to replace the engine when the engine seized up. So it seems to be, I don't know, something's happening with the oil filter housing gasket on this specific engine, not the N54 and not the N55 and the F30 3 Series. It's just this specific N55 engine in this car, which is also used in the X3, X5, and 135i, some 135i cars, 1 Series cars with the same engine. And funny enough, 135 drivers mentioned, a few of them mentioned the same thing happened to them. And that's the reason I'm not going to do oil filter housing gasket. I'm going to research a little bit more before before dealing with that, because I'd rather pay $1,400 at the dealership and getting it done right instead of doing it myself and have to replace the engine. And if that happens to this car, I will get rid of the car. I won't even keep the car. I won't try to save the engine or replace the engine. I will get rid of this car, and it probably be my last BMW if that's the case, because I feel that it's just all these gremlins, all these like Easter eggs with this car. Not good Easter eggs, but like bad Easter eggs when it comes to maintenance and stuff like that. And that's it. That's the reason why I'm not doing an oil filter housing gasket myself. One, that's why if I do it myself, I'm going to wait a little bit and see what the oil priming deal is about. It seems to be a remedy, but no one knows why it's a remedy, and it doesn't make sense that it should be a remedy, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to rely on that and prime the oil system. Basically, priming the oil system is pulling fuses and starting the car or whatever, but I'm not messing around with that. So that's it, guys. I did show you guys the tools I got for the work, and I might just give the tools away or sell the tools if I end up just getting it done at the dealership. All right, guys, thank you for watching the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one.